Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm gamesplaining Scoville. In the game of Scoville, everyone is a contestant of a chili fair. So it's a chili cook-off, I guess. Not really, but kind of. It doesn't quite sit inside that theme, but it's kind of that theme. In this game, it's actually relatively straightforward, but really heavily thinky at the same time. So to start with, it's a 2 to 6 player game by Tasty Minstrel Games that was released a few years back now. It uses the concept of you've got some basic elements, so in this case chilies, and you need to combine those elements to make different coloured chilies, and you combine them again to make them different coloured again chilies, and you're trying to create the right combination of chilies in your own play area, which is closed from everyone else, so it's hidden information in your play area to be able to create recipes because you got the right ingredients for this chili sauce. And there's a whole bunch of recipes available, and you'll be all competing to pick up those recipes. On top of that, there's like this farmer's market where you can trade in some cheaper level chilies for other advantages or other larger, better chilies. It's a really interesting game in some respects. In other respects, I feel like I played it before. The interesting element of this game is the turn order. So at the beginning of each turn, you are bidding on your turn order. So however much money you put in, whoever puts in the most money will choose when in the turn order they go. So I might find that I've got the most money and decide to go second. I might decide to go last. I can make that choice. Once everyone's made the choice, whoever's sitting in the front will take a bonus card, and then the next down the line will take these bonus cards. So whoever's at the front of that line will get the best choice of the bonus cards. Whoever's at the front of the line will plant their chilies first. So there's this big field that everyone shares, and you plant chilies in that field. And so going down the line in turn order, you'll plant a chili from behind your board. And then, in reverse turn order, you will walk around that field and pick up colours that are formed by the combinations of colours of chili. So if you walk in between a blue and a red chili, for example, you will take a purple chili. So you're crossbreeding these chilies in order to then hopefully get that purple one planted, and that will crossbreed to get you a higher colour. And you're working your way up through the primary colours to the secondary colours, to mixing those secondary colours into brown, black and white, and then mixing that again into clear. Which is a really straightforward concept. It sounds familiar? Yeah, it is. Because it's a really familiar or similar concept to what we did in Fresco. Again, it's a game that's got those hidden information boards, and you're starting with your basic colours and you're mixing those colours, and you mix those colours to get to a higher colour to use for something. Really similar games. I really love Fresco. I really love Scoville. But I love them both for the same reason. But this turn order thing, what it means is that the first player is actually going to get their choice of their track of where they're going to go around this field last, because it goes in backward turn order. And you're not allowed to move through another gardener. So you might find that you're actually boxed in and can't get to where you want to get to, or someone's standing exactly in the spot where you need to get to create that chili. There's a real tension in that, and there's a real tension in when you go. I tend to find that I actually don't like being that first player. I much prefer to be further down the line so I've got the best pick of which chilies I'm picking up. But when I do that, I tend to find that I'm definitely not going to be first in my pick of which of those ingredient cards I'm going to be able to take. So this is really fun tension, and it comes from the turn order sequence and how much money am I going to put into that. If I'm playing 2-player, I generally don't put anything in, and I just let the other player choose if they want to be first or second, because in a 2-player game it just moves fairly easily. In a 6-player game, however, you've got to be really thinking about when in your turn order you want to be. You don't want to be too close to the front, you don't want to be too close to the back. But you need to be in that sweet spot where you're going to be able to do what you need to on the shared field and be able to get in early enough to pick up the cards that you want to get with your chilies. The other thing I found with this is that it has a really nice table presence to it. But because of that table presence, I find that some players play for the pretty thing. So the hardest chili to pick up is this guy. It's clear and it's sparkly. And so people look and go, oh, I want one of those chilies. And then it doesn't actually matter if we need the chili for the cards that we're trying to pick up. They just want one because they're pretty and it's something to work towards. And there's something inbuilt in human psyche where we need to get to the pretty thing. And so if you're a game designer and you put a pretty thing at the end, whether you need it or not, you'll find that some players will actually play towards just getting that pretty thing. It makes it hard to play against in some respects, but it makes it too easy to play against in other respects, because people get distracted by the pretty. So, I really love this. I like the table presence of this piece. I know it's clear, but it looks really great on the table. It looks really nice to have one. But then you've got to spend it to use it to get the points. There is an expansion on Scoville called Labs. I have the expansion. I have played with the expansion. I'm not convinced that it adds a heap to the game. It gives basically a individual board which you can use to gain extra chilies. Is really the only thing that it adds to the game. So look, it's kind of nice to play with, but it's not a huge addition into the game as such. So I think Scoville stands by itself. What I really love is that this plays to 6 players. There's very few people putting out I want to say worker placement. It's not 100% worker placement, but you know, that type of Euro-y placement, placing things out to do stuff kind of game. The resource management, I guess, is probably a better word for it. There's not many of those resource management style games that play up to 6 players. And I really appreciate that this one does. It isn't a super slow game because of that turn order track constantly shifting. Everyone's engaged for most of the time. Sure, if you're the first player, you're going to do something, then you're going to sit back and you're actually going to wait for about 10 more turns before you get to do something, because each of the other 5 players is going to place their thing, then each of the other 5 players is going to move. So, being first player, that can get a little bit tedious. It doesn't go too slowly unless, again, you get someone who's just AP, but you know, that's going to happen in every game you play, no matter what the player count is. I wouldn't like to play this with more than 6. In fact, I think the sweet spot on this game is 4. But 6, it gets a lot of people involved in the same game. There's so few games that do that, and I really love it. Charterstone, all of the Stone Mires, that's about all I can name off the top of my head that cover the 6 player within this Euro non-party game or social deduction game kind of area. So thank you, Tasty Minstrel, for bringing out a 2 to 6 player game that works nicely. It works really smoothly. It's straightforward. If you watch the videos, you'll see in the playthrough, in the Gamesplay, that all the turns just actually run really smoothly. And once you kind of know what you're doing, it just runs and flows and flows. It's really a super clean, smooth movement of mechanism. Don't be put off by the almost simple look of the game. There's actually a heck of a lot of thinking involved in how to get to where you need to get to, and what can I put on the board that's going to help me. But everything I put out on that board is going to help everyone. It's a slightly different way of thinking about this Euro game, because what you're doing actually, it has a heap of cross-pollination of what's going to happen, what other players are able to do. You put a thing down, they're probably going to be able to use it before you get to use it. And that's really cool. I really like that. When I was playing a 6-player game, I found myself on this side of the board, and a whole bunch of people were over on this side of the board adding chilies to the table, but I couldn't move far enough to get there, so I was adding them here, and there was only like maybe 1 or 2 of us who were getting the benefits of this side of the board, and everyone else was fighting out for the benefits on this side. But the benefits on this side were much greater because they're all putting in these higher level chilies to get up to something bigger. And there's that tension of, oh, do I stay here and stick it out, or do I go where the crowd is? And making that decision as well is really, it's tough. It's a tough decision game. I really like it. I think it's a wonderful game. If you can get your hands on it, do. I haven't seen it in the shops for a little while, so I'm not sure if it's in print, out of print, or what's going on with that, or if there's just a little bit of a lull in the production of it. But go and check it out if you're able to. I do recommend Scoville. If you have Fresco, you might find that itch has already been scratched, but it's still a good game. If you really love Fresco, you'll probably really love Scoville also. I'll leave it there. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. If you've got any games that you wish to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to see what games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.